All right, well, let's do a Blood Angels instead, because we want to spray regular red instead of my weird contrast thingy. So that's cool. So we'll start with a base of Rhinox Eye. We could start over black, no issue with that, but I think brown's going to give us a nice contrast. Like this. And then we're going to thin it down just a little bit. Yeah, so this is a base color. I don't want it to be too runny. So we're just going to start with brown and just like turn all of this guy brown. We don't care about anything else. And so we're going to do the exact opposite of zenithal priming. We're going to focus on the bottom parts. Because those parts are the one most likely to stay brown, or to have the brown showing through. Alright, so we make quick work of this. This is not really long. This is why I love Rhinox Eye. Like, it sprays super. This is one of the easiest color to spray, because you can thin down very little and it will spray. You can thin down a lot, it will spray. It just works all the time. So almost none of the black showing, and positively none of the plastic color showing in all of the recesses. I'm more interested in the recesses than the raised areas, basically, for this. Because all of the, like, let's say that we didn't cover the top of the backpack, I don't really give a shit, because that's the part that's going to be red anyway, so we don't care about that. And then we're going to add this Mephiston red. So you can see, so we got no brown in there, right? So it's you know, but there's a very little, let's say very little brown, so it shouldn't affect the color that much. Come on. Like this is plenty. There's too much in there. Well, you can do, yeah, green and yellow work. I don't like the yellow zenithal, but the green definitely works. I did it in a couple of models. We could have done the same thing. Basically, any color, if you use the one opposite of it on the color circle, it will always give you like a through shading. Like the most natural way of shading is like using the opposite color on the little wheel thingy. So anytime you want to shade red, you could use green, and that will give you like the most natural shading type. But well, let's start top and then work around. All right, so this is kind of basically one coat of everything. So you get, so now we start to get some contrast. It's not there yet, but if we tilt it, now we get a good red to brown. So we're gonna add some, right? So we don't want really brown anywhere. We want that tone, but not really any of the brown. So like, for example, this leg here, way too brown. I know it's shaded and everything, but a little too brown for my taste. So now we get to kind of pick areas. So now we kill off a little bit of the realism, but we get to look, you know, we kill the realism, but we step up the badassism of our thing. Yo, dog, we're gonna kill the realism, but make it extra badassism. All right, so I'm happy with this. This is a good, you know, pretty freaking bold red. But we're not done yet, folks. We're gonna add some of that evil Sun Scarlet, because that's where the fun's at. Okay. All right, so now let's bring back evil Sun Scarlet. Let's move this guy to the side. Woo. We really don't need a lot, but whatever extra we have, we're gonna dump it on our little palette and just use it with a brush right after. Give this a good whirl. So now what we're gonna do is basically do exactly what we did with the previous red, but even lighter. And just so now we get to focus on parts that we actually want to make sure they pop, right? So we're gonna go top here. So now we got this little seal. This area. So now we got like a pretty freaking big contrast, right? From bottom here, that's like super dark, to here, that's like hooey. So now we worked on that contrast pretty good, but now we get to kind of redefine it. So we're just gonna dump this. Hold on, let me dump this here. So we're just gonna use our little color here, and then we'll work on some highlights. We could do some more shading. We could do some black line. There's like a million things you can go from there. But I think just highlight is going to be fine. What we have to remember is that once we cover kind of the base, like now there's a lot of overspray, but if we cover this part here, like so, now it makes a lot more sense. Just because we don't see like all of that overspray, now we get to see a little bit more of that detail and that highlight. So you kind of have to. It's a little bit abstract when you see it with all the base and the overspray and everything. Once we switch it out, it's gonna look ballin'. All right, so let's use the little vents here, and let's do that little line like this. And this one. All right, so I'm kind of happy with this here. Now let's get to this side because we only did one side. Usually it's better to add battle damage then do these edge highlights, because then you can cheat with them and place the highlights where you want them around the battle damage, which, you know, cheating in a good way. And again, details on the backpack, I'm not sure. I want to do some black and some silver maybe, but I'm not sure which, so we're just going to highlight everything and kind of figure it out later. Yeah, I think so. I think this gives us like some nice contrast here for our red, and then we can go on and get moving here with some more details on this guy. So let's do that. I'm happy with this right now. I don't think I want more. And yeah, so let's go with black. Let's start the black here. Black is fun because there's a lot of things we can do with that black. All right, so now the only part that I don't want to touch up now is the armor. So I'm fine with like painting that little pouch or whatever in with black and having a little bit too much. So now we're just gonna go and do every single like the vents and the joints and whatnot. Let's get these plates here. So now we could cheat the plates and just kind of do them with washes and use the fact that they're already kind of pre-highlighted. But the problem with that is that it's gonna get like this red hue in it, the red tone, and we really don't want that. We want that black to like be its own color and no red things. Because so do we finish the black now, or do we move on to other colors and then finish everything together at the end? It might make more sense if we want to make a video to do black fully and then move on to something else. But the correct way would be to do all of the base coats first and then move on to something else. Like, yeah, there's no right way to paint, but there's a smarter way to do things depending on the result that you want. And like, I think that's where like people like lose it in terms of like wanting results or wanting stuff is like, oh well, you know, every way works and everything. Yeah, but like, yes, every way works, but some of them are smarter than others. So if something should not be a specific color, you're gonna know right now, instead of after having put like a color and then a shading and then a highlight or whatever on every surface, you're gonna go, oh yeah, this should not be this color, so that you have only one color to do. The other area is that the place where you mess up the most is during base coats, because that's where you cover the larger area, and then you have to do the kind of the outer, like the painting the outer surfaces. So because you fuck up the most on this one, it means that you make your corrections all at the same time and on only one color, which also means that you save a bunch of time. And then you also get to repeat a lot of colors. Okay. All right, now let's do silver. Go silver. Let's do silver. All right, so let's start with the gun here. So we're just gonna avoid the little handle, but the rest is kind of fair game. All right, so the handle is dodged. We also need to dodge this little purity seal because I want to keep it that red that we did. And again, here for this, the purposes of this, too much is much better than not enough, because then we'd have to kind of qualify right now what we want silver and what we want black on the gun. Okay. And then, yeah. So now, silver. The guns are always silver, whereas in real life, they are so rarely silver. All right. So it's this side here. So same thing here. We're only doing like the inner workings. Maybe, yeah, I think we'll just do knee pads in black, just like to match the shoulder pads. We'll do that right after. Because the bottom part is the same thing of like chunks of red. So we're going to try to break those apart. That's a valid concern here. And again, this might not be like Codex approved. Or, Dante approved, but it's going to look nice. Do the face right now. It's like super deep there. Unlikely we fuck up once we do when we do the face. So nothing too fancy at this point. We really just need to get that like decent skin tone color in there, like so. So we're gonna start with the skin tone, and then we're kind of gonna play dress up. One of the darker tones of like Caucasian flesh, and Kisa flesh is the lightest of them all. There we go. So now we get something like this here. We're going to highlight the black. And the black we're going to highlight with Incubi Darkness, which I kind of dig. And that kind of gives us our the red, yellow, and blue, like trifecta of colors, right? So the gold and the blonde hair and everything is yellowish. The armor is red, and now we're going to introduce a little bit of that blue. So I don't think we're going to bother that much. I'm going to make sure this one is a little bit light, maybe. Okay, so we are good to go now. Let's do this gold thingy. And so we're going to do two shades. I think 2 shades on the gold is kind of where we're at. So we're going to do brown, and then we're going to do purple shade. We'll do it right now just so that we don't forget it. There's a little skull right there. He definitely is missing a base, so we're going to finish that base, and then we'll send him packing. Let's break this guy from that little base. There we go. It wasn't glued that hard. Generous on the glue because that base is hella uneven, and this would be like a gaming piece, so we would want it to be like indestructible. It adds so much again. So getting that crisp, clean edge. Base, just something a little bit more interesting, but I think that's a pretty nice Blood Angel that we got.